The story opens with a human soldier buried alive beneath alien rubble, unable to move. His squad is dead. His rescue beacon is destroyed. Alien voices argue above him, debating whether humans feel pain. One alien officer decides to test that theory. As the soldier fades in and out of consciousness, we learn. Humans are considered physically weak by galactic standards, but dangerously unpredictable. The hook ends when the alien officer realizes this human is still smiling. The soldier is captured instead of killed. Aliens discover humans don't shut down under pain the way other species do. He's sent to a research facility as a failed specimen. Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Pain was supposed to be loud. Miguel had known pain in every shade, throbbing, burning, screaming, but this was different. This was a silence so profound it pressed against his skull, filling every thought, every nerve, every heartbeat with nothing. His arms, the tools of his trade, his only currency in a universe that valued muscle, reflex, and iron resolve, were gone. The room around him pulsed with light, not sterile white, not the antiseptic glare of a Terran hospital. No, this place breathed. The walls shimmered faintly, translucent like jelly, the kind of bioluminescence only living things could muster. And there she was, the reason his body now lay broken and yet alive. Thea, the princess of the galactic reach. Her skin gleamed like polished lavender, smooth as ceramic under alien suns, absorbing every flicker of the ambient glow. Her hair was neon pink, falling over her shoulders like a waterfall of liquid fire, a stark contrast against the blackened white armor of the Royal Vanguard. She moved through the room as if gravity had no hold over her, the soft hum of her presence filling Miguel with a tension that was part terror, part awe. "You are awake," she said, her voice like a low current of electricity in a dark storm. No pity, no hesitance, just the weight of command. Miguel tried to lift himself from the biogel-cushioned bed. His brain sent signals to arms that weren't there. Muscle twitched, phantom weight hung in the air where forearms and hands should have been. Nothing responded. Nothing. Just the cold bite of absence. "My arms," he rasped. His voice was a gravel road stretched thin across the void. "They are gone," Thea said, calm and deliberate, as if stating a scientific fact rather than a tragedy. "You saved me. You did what no one else would. You are now," she paused, eyes narrowing, golden and unblinking, "the Consort shield." Miguel's gut clenched. A title, a designation, not mercy, not freedom, not a chance to run back to a universe that hadn't tried to kill him yet, just a bond that tied him to the bloodline of a galaxy-spanning empire at the cost of his body. He tried to process the diplomatic summit on the orbital platform, the flicker in the air that betrayed the cloaked assassin, the grenade designed to collapse reality itself. He had reacted instinctively, flinging himself into the blast to shield the princess. And now, reality had replied with silence where once his arms had been. The hum of the medical drones filled the room, multi-limbed machines of gleaming silver and translucent biogel, tending to the core of his body. His nervous system, burned and severed, was knitting itself back together at a pace human physiology should never allow. "Stand still," Thea commanded, leaning closer. Her armored thigh brushed his side, grounding him, reminding him that he was tethered to this moment, to this body, to her. "The accelerant is stabilizing your nerve endings. One twitch, one misstep, and the procedure fails." Miguel's mind raced. He wasn't a soldier because of loyalty or honor. He was a soldier because his hands were lethal instruments, extensions of his mind. Without them, he was dead weight. Without them, he was prey. "Do you understand what this means?" Thea asked, her golden eyes reflecting the pale light. "Your value is no longer as a man, Miguel. It is as my shield, flesh given to serve the crown. This is law, this is ritual, this is survival." He swallowed hard. It was worse than the blast, Worse than the pain, worse than the silence where his limbs had been. It was the understanding that in this alien world, even the hero was property. The hum shifted as the final calibrations of the biogel therapy concluded. He felt a flicker of sensation in his shoulder stumps, a spark that threatened to ignite with agony. "You will learn to wield more than muscle," Thea whispered, almost tenderly, almost humanly. "You will wield the law, the bond, the right of the iron right. They will see strength differently when you are done." Miguel didn't know if she meant encouragement or threat, perhaps both. The room shifted as a dozen figures bowed in unison, low purple forms in ornate robes, the high priests of the empire, witnesses to the ritual of the shield. They were not guards, they were worshippers. His gaze flicked between them and Thea. This was no longer a rescue. This was a transformation. "Your arms are gone, but your mind, your instincts, they remain," Thea said, her hand brushing the faint stubble on his chin. "And soon we will give you new arms." Miguel's mind refused to accept optimism. New arms meant nothing if the artificer tasked with them was corrupt, if the neural bridges were sabotaged, if every movement could be a trap. He clenched his jaw. "If I die, they die with me. That is the law now." Thea's lips curved, sharp and predatory. "And if you live, you learn to be more than flesh. You learn to make them kneel to what it means to be human." Her smile was a mix of respect, fear, and something darker. "Then we begin." The transition to the artificer's workshop was surreal. Miguel followed her through the gleaming corridors of the spire, the palace above a prism of gold and white, a cage of perfection. Below, in the sublevels, the air thickened with rust, oil, and the remnants of discarded dreadnoughts. The scrapyard was paradise. Every dented plate, every severed servo, every shattered hull was a resource waiting for ingenuity. Miguel knelt on a crate, assessing the parts, the complexity of salvaged machinery spread before him. "We don't need the royal foundry," he muttered. "We need function. We need claws, not jewelry. We need hands that kill." Thea blinked, her hands delicate, suited for diplomacy and assassination alike. She had never built anything beyond disarming a blaster in the field. And yet, under his guidance, she became an extension of his mind, the hands he no longer possessed. Every angle, every servo, every microconverter was dictated by him, executed by her. They worked in silence, a strange intimacy building, sweat mingling with the metallic tang of oil and solder. For 10 hours, the line between warrior and engineer blurred. Each connection of nerve to servo was a gamble. Each spark was a promise of survival or death. The first actuator housing slid into place on his left stump. Pain flared, lightning hot, screaming through every nerve. He did not scream. He could not. His mind clamped shut against agony, holding onto consciousness with a stubborn, iron grip. The second spike pierced. Blacked out for a second, consciousness returning to a world of molten steel and humming servos. He could feel power coursing through the limbs. Not elegant, not graceful, but unstoppable. Heavy claws of matte black steel, exposed hydraulics, industrial perfection built to destroy. Miguel flexed the fingers experimentally, the mechanical servos snapping shut like bear traps. He lifted an arm, tested rotation. Every microsecond of latency accounted for, every movement precise. Thea watched, gold eyes wide, her filaments white-hot. "They're alive," she whispered. Miguel allowed himself a grim smile. "We're alive, and they'll learn to fear what we can do." From the palace halls to the gala, the world would soon see strength redefined, humanity unbroken, a man who had lost everything, yet gained the impossible. The gala was supposed to be a celebration. The halls of the spire glittered with the light of 1,000 orbs, each suspended like captured stars. Delegates from across the galactic reach walked on polished floors, their robes trailing behind them like rivers of color, their voices a soft murmur of politics and perfumed laughter. Miguel could feel the weight of their gazes before he saw them. Not because he was new to attention, Not because his mechanical arms glinted under the light like forged thunder. No, he felt it because for the first time in his life, he had become something more than human, and the universe, in every quiet whisper, sensed it too. Thea walked beside him, the princess and sovereign in her own right, draped in regal violet, her presence a shield that only highlighted the contrast of what he had become. The mechanical limbs hummed softly at his sides, subtle but alive, responding to his nervous twitches, anticipating his thoughts before they fully formed. 054. Every step felt deliberate. Every movement was a statement. Humanity had not only survived, humanity had evolved. And evolution, Miguel knew, was never subtle. A sudden ripple of tension ran through the crowd, so thin, so imperceptible that a lesser man would have missed it. Miguel felt it, like a predator's breath across the nape of his neck. The gala froze, conversations faltered, servants paused mid-step, silver trays trembling in their hands. Then the air split, a shriek of energy tearing through the dome, and the walls erupted in plasma fire. A drone, cloaked in the shimmer of temporal distortion, fell from the ceiling, spinning like a fallen star, and the crowd scattered. Miguel reacted before thought could even exist. Arms flaring with servo power, claws slicing through the air, he intercepted the drone's energy beam mid-flight, shattering it into a cascade of sparks that rained harmlessly on the marble floor. Thea drew her own weapon, a crystalline staff that hummed with resonant energy. She moved with lethal precision, clearing corridors, shielding civilians, but it was Miguel who bore the brunt of the initial assault. Alien infiltrators, fast, sharp, and merciless, descended through hidden panels in the ceiling, their limbs a blur of blades and claws. One came too close. Miguel pivoted, arms snapping forward with mechanical precision. The claw closed around the attacker's neck like iron bands. He felt the alien's strength against his servos, its body writhing, unnatural muscles straining, and yet he held. Humanity had survived the blast, survived the loss, survived the impossible, and now it struck back. The gala erupted into chaos, but Miguel's mind did not falter. Every movement, every strike, every block was calculated. His mechanical arms, extensions of his will, cut paths through the invaders. Not out of rage, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. He moved like a storm, servos whirring, claws snapping, crushing alien armor as if it were brittle glass. For every strike he analyzed, predicted, adapted. Their movements were alien, unpredictable, but human instinct, sharpened by adaptation and sheer willpower, filled the gaps. He could hear Thea's voice, sharp and commanding, orchestrating defense and evacuation simultaneously. Her golden eyes reflected the flicker of fires around them. "Keep them away from the civilians," she shouted. "Miguel, the center." Miguel lunged, intercepting a squad of assailants attempting to reach the royal dais. Two in one strike, left claw snapping the first's spine, right claw crushing the second's chest. He spun, actuators and hydraulics thrumming like war drums, every microsecond of motion optimized for survival and efficiency. The aliens adapted, recognizing the anomaly that Miguel had become. Their attacks grew coordinated, clever, but still insufficient. They had never faced something like him. Human ingenuity, wrapped in mechanical fury, unrelenting, impossible to predict. He felt the surge of power as he drove one intruder back, then another, then the final one in the corridor. They fell like dominoes, broken bodies and scattered limbs, a testament not to cruelty, but to survival, to evolution in action. Thea intercepted a different threat, a sniper hidden above, aiming to collapse the entire gallery with temporal destabilizers. Miguel's head snapped up, clawed hand catching the falling energy shard, redirecting it harmlessly into the ceiling. Sparks rained like meteor showers, the air thick with ozone and burnt ozone. A moment of silence, only breathing, only the hum of servos. The gala survivors, huddled behind overturned tables, stared wide-eyed at the man who had become more than human. And Miguel stared back, not with triumph, but with the raw intensity of survival. "Why us?" one terrified diplomat whispered. "Why are they attacking now?" Miguel didn't answer. He didn't need to. The truth was written in every movement, every strike, every shattered alien that littered the floor. Humanity was not weak. Humanity could adapt. Humanity could fight back. And when humanity fought back, humanity won. The intruders retreated, not because they were defeated, but because they had no choice. They had underestimated the species that could survive unimaginable loss and emerge stronger, faster, deadlier. And Miguel, standing over the remnants, was the proof. Thea approached, her staff humming, golden eyes wary. "You've changed the rules," she said softly. "They won't underestimate us again." Miguel flexed his mechanical hands experimentally. "Good. Let them try. They'll see what it truly means to face a human who refuses to die." The palace security, now bolstered by the survivors of the gala, began clearing bodies and rescuing those trapped in the wreckage. Miguel moved among them. A phantom of efficiency, making sure every civilian survived, every threat neutralized. No hesitation, no mercy for the aggressors, but humanity's mercy for its own was absolute. Then the whisper came, faint, almost undetectable, carried through the comms embedded in his neural interface. "You think this is over, Miguel?" The voice was not alien, not any of the assailants he had faced tonight. It was human. Cold, calculating, the remnants of an organization that had watched the Terran colonies from the shadows, waiting for weakness, waiting for a chance to exploit humanity's hubris. Miguel's eyes narrowed. The gala had been only a prelude. The real threat, the one that had engineered the assassination attempt, remained. And now they had learned something invaluable about him. He felt the weight of it, the responsibility. Every human life depended on his ability to evolve, to adapt, to strike before they could act. His arms, powerful as they were not just weapons. They were symbols of human ingenuity, resilience, and the refusal to bow to alien dominance or covert human sabotage alike. Thea stepped closer, hand resting on his shoulder. "We need to move," she said. "They will come for you again. They will test humanity at every level, and they will fail." Miguel nodded, the hum of his mechanical arms vibrating with readiness. "Let them come," he said. "We'll show them that humanity survives everything, and when we fight, we do it smarter, faster, and harder than anything they've ever faced." Outside the palace, the city burned in streaks of neon and plasma, the chaos echoing across the spire. But Miguel did not fear. Humanity had survived the impossible, and now, armed with the tools of adaptation, it would not only survive, it would dominate. They walked together, Thea and the Consort shield, toward the central spire command. Each step was deliberate, each thought precise, each movement a lesson to the universe. Humans were no longer prey. Humans were hunters, and the galaxy had yet to understand the depth of that truth. Miguel looked at the horizon, the stars twisted into alien constellations. Somewhere out there, the architects of this attack were already planning their next move. But they had made one fatal mistake. They underestimated humanity. Thea whispered almost reverently, "What are you thinking?" Miguel flexed his new hands once more. "I'm thinking, they have no idea what comes next." And for the first time since the blast, since the loss, since the transformation, Miguel smiled. Not with pride, but with the certainty that humanity's spirit, tempered by suffering and sharpened by loss, was unbreakable.